Nject is a big project.
Shakira and I, we decided to look into some of the things we can do.
One of the things I want to state about Nject is that we wanted to create a universal source for democracy.
We did some extensive research and realized that there is a lot of problems in terms of civic engagement, understanding the democratic process. These are some of the things we're trying to implement and make sure that the experience is more improved.
Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Shak and sitting next to me is AD. So just to let you know, we had so much fun on the first video that we decided to come back for the second one. And in this episode, we're going to talk about what Nject is. Now, we won't go into all the details of Nject, and it's not because we don't think you will keep it quiet, but because there's so much to digest, and secondly, you won't remember it all. Nject is a big project. One of the things I want to state about Nject is that we wanted to create a universal source for democracy. We wanted to have a way where people who never participated in the voting process will have a resource to come to and learn everything that they need to know when it comes to civic. And that's the whole purpose of even bringing Nject online.
Yeah.
So I want to turn it over to AD because it was initially an idea that was birthed from AD. And I want him to kind of give us an idea as to why he came up with this project. And then I also want to talk about why I eventually jumped on board with it. AD?
Right. Okay, so with Nject, it actually boils down about several years ago. That's about 7 years ago. I was just looking at the democratic spectrum worldwide, looking at the situations of things around me specifically. I felt we lack a lot of tools, right? In order for us to equip us for informed decision making, informed democratic process, and understanding the landscape in a broader spectrum. So in 2020, after the NSAS protest in Nigeria, where Nigeria actually demanded some reforms in police, reforms specifically the Nigerian youths, and some of the reforms, a lot of people did not actually understand how the process was done, and a lot of people actually lost their life during the youthful, peaceful protests during those periods. So 3 years after, Shakira and I, we decided to look into some of the things we can do. Looking at it from market readiness as well too. We did some extensive research. We started talking and started doing a lot of research and realized that there is a lot of problems in terms of civic engagement, understanding the democratic process, understanding how policy works, being the educative part in which you can actually make your leadership, your elected leaders accountable for a lot of things. So without being said, we started pushing forward with some of the things we can do along the line. We realized that about 65.3% of age 18 to 34 they didn't actually participate in the last US election. And we look into the market readiness, just like the way we said, we try to move forward with the right timing of the product, which is actually the US common election. And we also realized that in 2016 US election, about 67% of people had or encountered misinformation and disinformation. And the transparency index, trust to government, accountability, and how the whole democratic works, and in educative parts, a lot of people are not really interested, especially the youth, just like the way the data says. Even in Nigeria as well, too, low voters turnout. Even in the United Kingdom, the last UK general election, about 58% of people came out to vote, which is actually the lowest in about 20 years or so. We felt like the way we need to be able to engage ourselves in the democratic process and the people to understand how policy works and increase the voters' engagement and keep the connections between political leaders and citizens and bridges for us to be able to look at how this solution works as well too. Considering our personal experience, like I lay down the lane, how some of these problems have actually affected us, or actually we've encountered these problems one or the other, I felt like this is the best way for us to come up with such solutions. And in order for it to make it really appealing, because you see a lot of people making use of several social media platforms, and with these social media platforms, people still find it difficult for them to get themselves educated in some of the democratic process and policies, and even when it comes to voting and beyond as well too. So we came up with Nject, which is a universal source of democracy, starting with our AI comparison tools and forecasting tool in real time. These are some of the things we're trying to implement and make sure that the experience is more input, is more conventional, is more attractive, it's appealing, it's seamless with great user experience, and it's more of something that is good to appeal, psychological appeal, and trigger users to engage themselves in the form of democratic process and perform their civic and fundamental rights.
And for me, it was a no-brainer, especially looking at my background in public administration,
Right.
working in local government, even volunteering on a political campaign. And also just knowing who the person that was going to be ahead and leading this whole charge. As our CEO, AD has that capacity to actually lead. He holds wisdom beyond even imagine. So just a perfect fit in terms of helping us to develop this product, creating a network effect, because that's a huge win in terms of how Nject will be set up. And also personally, from a standpoint, if we can just look back, it's only been 4 years ago in terms of how COVID was handled.
Right.
And that's also a reason behind how we even came up with our logo.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, if you look closely at it, you can even see a needle hidden in the logo. So yeah,
right.
So
right.
Those were the reasons why I jumped on board.
I mean, yeah, it's really resourceful considering how you're able to jump on board with this solution we're trying to come up, we're trying to solve. Looking at your past experience, even in local governments, democratic process, volunteering, and also your over 20 years of experience in operations and management, and this is some of the most valuable things we can actually think of. As much as we're trying to set a strong background in what we're trying to build, the foundation of your team is really vital. It's going to determine how we want to move from 0 to 1 and from 1 to 100 real quick. So it's imperative for us to have solid teams, and that's some of the reason why I see into CTU and some of the people that we actually being a part of this journey. And we just make sure that this is some of the things. We are not building this product because of next year, or even not because of elections or because of something that we're going to be looking at for the next decade. So these are some of the things we're going to be building with all of our lives and all of our passion, exceeding this and putting everything that we need to push in to make sure that this is one of the most valuable things we can actually push out for the sake of humanity. And looking at it from the impact strategy, we have to look at it, we can pinpoint that it's actually part of SDG goals, SDG 16, you understand? So, this is some of the things we actually love to be able to solve for the sake of mankind as well, in order for us to exercise the real reason and the real form of democracy on a bigger note per se.
Yeah, that's right. And one way you can think of this is that if you think of LinkedIn for business, you can think of Nject for democracy. So it's not just for voting or elections or what have you, but it's everything that involves the democratic process.
Right.
So we're not just here when it's time for someone who's running for office.
Right.
To
even though in the United States there is over 520,000 elected and appointed political office in the United States alone. So at every point in time, there's always going to be situations like that.
Yes.
You understand? But nevertheless, some of the key things is want to be able to hold our political leaders, our elected leaders accountable for the position we elected them into. You understand? And you as a citizen, you're able to get empowered as well to some of the things and the decision, how these decisions are being made Another was, again, you should be able to participate in your civic fundamental rights, like the elections, and do some other things that needed to be done in your society and for your nation at large as well too.
That's right. So are we missing anything else in terms of, one thing we also want to mention too is, let's talk about exactly how Nject will be rolled out and what we're planning in terms of our actual launch date.
Yeah. Okay. So for Nject, we're looking at it from the smallest markets. You understand? We've been actually been doing some analysis, talking to sorts of people, and try to see the smallest markets we try to start off from, which is going to be our beachhead markets. We're looking into one of the swing states, right? We're looking into launching one of the swing states, and these are some of the states which is actually really key criteria. Looking at it from statistical research department, some of the research we've done with over 5,000 respondents, and we could be able to see there are some vital and critical states over there which has close edge within the two major political parties in the United States. So we started off one of those states. This is going to be some of our rollout plans, right? They want to spread across the United States and United Kingdom, and as well in Nigeria as well too.
Yes.
So, our major goal right now for Nject is to expand towards every democratic nations, you understand? And for us to make sure that this product is actually valuable across every nations of the world as well too. And as much as we can undo that.
Yeah, exactly. So we understand it is a huge project. It's a huge undertaking, should I say. And one of the things we want to be able to do is we want to be able to start off small, because like I said, we have huge plans in terms of where we see Nject going. We won't get into all of that right now, but we want to be able to start off small so that we can grow big. And so we're looking at this as a long-term venture,
Right.
to say the least.
Right. Yeah.
All right. I think anything else that you think is worth noting in terms of where Nject is concerned?
I'm just gonna say this, for Nject, per se, like I said, we try to roll out our MVP as soon as possible. We want to make sure that we actually push that out and make sure we get feedback with some of the things we try to build. Then also considering that we are actually as proceed, for sure, on our last video, we spoke about we currently fundraising. We want to make sure that we build some of the most efficient systems in our organizations as well too, with some of the products we are building. And also with our roadmap, you understand, we want to launch before the election. Then we want to move forward like that, so just like the way I explained. And we looking forward to see the feedback that we can actually get once we roll out the MVP first.
Yeah. So lots of exciting things. Stay tuned, because we have a lot more to talk about.
Right.
A lot of you will probably be interested to know, and we will actually cover in our next video is how did we actually...
Yeah. I'm going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about that. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Catch up.